Okay, cool. Thank you guys so much for being on the call tonight. Sam and Ash announced earlier that we are going to have our very diamond retreat that is going to be in September. So it is just so exciting. It's just incredible to watch group grow, their team grow, and we're just so honored to have been able to join forces and just I don't know what the right word, just encourage each other, support each other, and just really light up our days just by being connected. We're going to have Candace speak, and she actually just got back from her one star diamond retreat in Mexico, and she is a beautiful person. I actually met on our way to Summit, not this last year, but the year before. The plane we were on, they deplaned us, and we were in, and we ended up becoming friends. And it's been really awesome to watch her journey and follow her. And she is a mom of three. She is an Army wife. I believe she was in the Army as well. And she's just this incredible person, and I'm so excited. I already got my notebook out. I cannot wait to hear all the knowledge she has for us. And, of course, feel free to follow her on Facebook. She posts really great content, and we're just so happy to have her on. So I'll hand it over to you, Candace.
Thank you. It's really good to be here, guys. You guys I don't know if you realize this or not, but you are so lucky to have Marianne on your team because she's amazing and I just love her. So yeah, total coincidence that we met, but it was one of those things, like she's one of those people, as soon as she starts talking, she just draws you in and you just can't help but love her. So I felt so lucky to get to know her. So my husband was even like, she's the sweetest person I think I've ever met. So tonight I just wanted to, it was really cool that you guys had Diamond Retreat come up because I literally just got back Monday. So I was gone Friday, Monday, and it was so eye-opening to me and just incredible. So I thought I'd share some of the content that I learned at mine. So the leader of my team is Jessica. I don't know if you guys know her or not. She is incredible. She's the one that hosted the retreat for us. If you guys want to check her out, you can. She's amazing. So the things that we talked about was the dysfunctions of the team. And I'm going to go over that, also just share some tips while I was there. So the first dysfunction of a team is trust. So if people don't trust you, then that's what's going to keep them from maybe joining your challenge group or joining your team. So if you're getting constant like rejection, they just keep saying no or beating around the bush, or maybe they don't have the money, then just keep working on that relationship and going until you do get a yes, because if they trust you, then they will believe what you say. They will want to be a part of what you are. So just and vulnerable, share your struggles, because as we know, that's what we relate to when people are always perfect all the time. And it's really hard to relate to that and that you can do something as well. So just be sure to open up and be really vulnerable on social media. Your team, if people don't trust you on your team, then they won't do what you say. So if you're constantly saying, make Success Club and hit gold and hit diamond and do this and that, be at events, if you're not doing those things yourself, and if you are not holding yourself accountable and doing those things, and they don't trust you, then they don't care what you're saying. You have to be the leader, and you have to be the person showing them what to do. So it's one thing to tell them what to do, but it's another thing to actually do the work and show them. So I'm sure you guys all have people on your team who are like, I want to be all in this. And then they like miss calls, or they, don't make Success Club, and just all these things, and you get frustrated. But if they have that relationship with you and they trust that what you're saying is going to work, then they will be able to run with their business. And to get that trust, you have to show them what to do and do those things yourself. Another thing, or another dysfunction, is lack of commitment. So I gave a little tough love to my team last night. And when you say that you are an all-in coach and you're sharing all these things on social media, like, oh, I'm my own boss, I got to do this today or do that today. If you're not actually working your business and you're telling people on social media that you're growing this amazing team and all these things, you're being that salesperson and that scammer that everyone is afraid of. So if you're not committing and being honest about what you're doing on social media, then that is not committing to your team, and it's not committing to the people you're talking to. And that's where you're going to have a trust issue. People can tell when you are in the business for yourself and when you are in it for, others. So just like I was giving you an example about Marianne, she's one of those people that just draws you in. And I mean, if even after that first time I talked to Marianne, if she had told me about Beachbody and I wasn't already a coach, I'd be like, sign me up, because she's just so honest and she's so relatable. So it's so important that we show that about ourselves on social media, and that we can connect to other people and commit to what we're saying we're doing. And that goes for our nutrition fitness as well. If we are only showing the healthy food we're eating and only showing the days we do our workouts, then and you're not doing that, then that's showing false things to social media, and that's where that scamming is coming in again. So you're basically lying to people. So whenever I think about it like that, it basically is to kick my own butt in gear. Like, I need to make sure that I'm doing everything that I am telling people I'm doing. So if I am not eating healthy, then I cannot get on social media and tell everyone like, oh, I'm doing the 21-day fix, and it's awesome, because I'm not following it to a T. So just make sure that you are committing and doing what you say that you are doing. Another dysfunction of a team is avoiding accountability. You have to, just like I was saying, you have to be personally accountable, or your team will have low standards. So if you want your team to make Success Club 5, you need to make at least Success Club 10. If you want them to make Success Club 10, you have to go even higher than that, because as a leader, you set the bar. So if you want high standards, you have to set an even higher standard. I learned this at the retreat. It was so crazy, but I don't know if you guys have heard Lindsay Matway tell her story about this, but she talks about when she signed up as a coach, they had the trip to Cancun, and she was like, I'm going to be on that trip. And they were taking the top 3 coaches to Cancun, top coach Success Club points or whatever. And she was in the top 3, and she only had 20 Success Club points. And she was the top 3 in the company. So just to think now, like, the top coaches now are making way more points than that. So it just kind of shows when you set the bar for your team and you're hitting that, the bar is going to constantly have to rise. So keep that in mind. Another thing is make sure that you are showing the whole journey. So for people signing up, and sometimes we forget about this, like we get really good at eating healthy, or we get really good at inviting to the business and talking about it. We get really good at those things. And if we're only talking about our successes, then we're up here and people are starting or down here, and there's a gap there. And they can't think that, they can hit that top spot. They can't believe that they can get there. So if you're showing the little things that happen to you in between and that gap, then that's the one thing that is going to make you relatable and make people think, okay, I think I can do this. I've hit those struggles. I'm at that spot she used to be at, or he used to be at. So it closes that gap and it makes people believe. Jessica Nelson is in the Millionaires Club. So she, gets to share about that a little bit, but I never see her talk about that on social media. She talks about like how she's debt free and stuff, but she also shares how she was a struggling waitress. And I know more about her old life than I do her new life. So it's really cool how she closes that gap. So that's just an example of, sharing that in between, because once you get pretty high up there in the eyes of other people, then you have to be able to show them that you're a normal person and that you're average too, and that you just put in some work to get there. Hope that makes sense. Okay, so another thing that coaches tend to have trouble with is trying to figure out what to post. Sometimes you're like trying to think of that perfect post, or you're looking at a picture and you're just like, oh, I really want to post this, but I just don't know what to say. And one thing that I learned at the retreat is that if you have to put that much thought into your post and figuring out what to say, then you're not being yourself. So whatever just immediately comes to you naturally, figure out how to word that. So I hear that all the time, like, I just don't know what to post. Just be yourself. And worst case scenario, if you are stuck, then if you are being a product of the product and you are doing all the vital behaviors, then there's 3 or 4 things right there that you can post about. So that would be worst case scenario. You can't think of anything to post. There's your examples right there. Talk about how personal development has helped you today. Talk about how you didn't want to do your workout, but you did, or, just be relatable. Those are always good backup plans if you can't think of that perfect post that everyone dreams of. Another dysfunction of a team is time management. And as Marianne said, I'm a mom of 3. None of my kids are in school. I have a 6-month-old, a 3-year-old, and a 4-year-old. So I'm with them 24/7, and I am an Army wife. So my husband, he's actually leaving for another month in like 2 weeks. He'll be gone a month in July, and he's pretty much always gone. So I had to get really, really good at time management if I wanted to build my business. So at the retreat, we talked about acting like we're already where we want to be. So I had to think about what I want my team to be. And I want my team to be huge, and I want it to be full of people who are, debt-free and traveling and just reaching every single goal that they have set for themselves. Am I there yet? No. But if I want to get there, I need to put it in my head that I'm already there. And that's some motivation and that's some determination coming out, and I will get there faster because I will treat my business differently. When you imagine being a brand new coach. It's kind of hard to, you don't think being a leader is that important because you're like, oh, I only got one person on my team. I'll just let my upline handle it. But if you want to be that top 10 coach or that, I don't know, whatever your goal is, if you want to get to that point, then you have to put yourself there and run your team and run your business like you're already that person. And this is another thing that I personally struggle with, is being available all the time. I love being able to answer questions and help my coaches and my challengers all the time. So over time, I've gotten better, but I used to be really, really, really bad about as soon as they message me, I would try to respond and answer their questions. And over time, as that grows, then it gets really difficult and you're kind of stuck on your phone because you're constantly trying to answer everything that people are asking you. So a good tip from Jessica was when someone messages you like, hey, how much is Shakeology? Instead of answering that question, just give them 24 hours and then message them and say, hey, did you find your answer? And if they didn't, then direct them to an FAQ or direct them to something online, or if you guys have files in your team or something like that, direct them where to find the answer. Because if you just answer it over and over and over, you're not letting them grow and you're holding them back. They're not going to be able to grow their team if they're constantly relying on you to hold their hand and run their business. You know what I mean? So your responsibility is to help your team grow. So don't hold them back by being at their beck and call. Make them do some work. So unless it's like an opinion thing, I try to give them some time to find it on their own. Okay. The next thing is tracking. I actually didn't do this, but after the leadership retreat, I will definitely be doing this. Track everything that you do. So your Success Club points, your team Success Club points, volume, or just however you want to track leaders in the team or anything like that, just track it so you can see over time what's growing, what's not, and what you can do to change. I know that Jessica told us when she started doing recognition, and she's been doing really, really good recognition for at least a year and a half. Pretty much the whole time I've been a coach, I've seen her do amazing recognition. And she said when she started doing that, within 3 months, her team grew by 1,600%. Like their efforts grew by 1,600%. So she said that really raised the bar whenever she started keeping, like every week she'll post, I do this in my team as well, but it's like a banner at the top, with like the top leaders or the most volume for the week or something like that. And she said that alone grew her business that much. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So if she didn't track that, she wouldn't have known that it would have made that much of an improvement. So she said once she tracked it and was tracking everything over the course of every 2 or 3 months, she would see how it was growing. Then she could figure out what to change. So that is something I'm definitely going to start tracking. Okay, so I know sometimes it's hard to share those struggles or share things that cause us pain, or Marianne is really amazing at sharing her story. It gives me cold chills every time I read her posts. So even though it's kind of hard, you guys know we have to do it. And when life brings you down or you have some kind of pain that can help some other person, when you actually share that, you become a different person. instead of keeping it inside. Or it's just like in our workouts. If you have a 30-second move and you stop at 28 seconds every time because your legs are dying, the moment you actually stick through and finish that 30 seconds for the first time, I'm sure you guys have done that before, something similar, you are so proud of yourself and you feel so accomplished. So it's the same thing in every area of your life, with your business especially. Whenever you get uncomfortable, because I know I have a tendency to get comfortable and then I'll stay there for a little bit. I have to make myself grow and make myself get uncomfortable. On our leadership retreat, there were 20 of us out of 5,800 coaches that got to go. And to be completely honest, on my way there, I was like, I don't know why I'm going here. I'm so intimidated. And I was terrified because I know some of those coaches really well. And I was just like, I don't know. I don't feel like I fit in. I'm like bottom of the barrel compared to these people. I told my husband that I was freaking out. And then I got there and I was a little uncomfortable, but immediately they became my best friends. And I was like, this is the kind of group that I need to be hanging out with. They made me so uncomfortable, but they made me get out of my box, and it was just amazing. So you guys are going to have an awesome time on your retreat. I can't even say, I have like cold chills right now talking about it, but it was just so eye-opening, and it really put it into perspective how small, like we get so frustrated about inviting or people saying no or just little things like that. And on the retreat, I realized how small those things actually are. I was sitting at a table for lunch with like 4 other coaches, one who's paid off $200,000 in student loans this year alone, and she's been a coach for 2 years. And then I had Jessica next to me, who's in the Millionaires Club and debt-free and building her house. And I sat next to my coach, who is equally as successful. And I was just like, this is the big picture. This is why we do what we do. This so people can live this kind of life, and they can travel when they want, and they can host retreats for their team and give out gifts to people and just be so incredibly generous. That is my ultimate goal. I want to give to like everyone. That's my love language. But it's just, it really put into perspective the big picture. So pay attention to that whenever you guys are at your retreat. Oh my gosh, so amazing. Okay, so here are a couple of tips that I just wanted to share that I learned there. So a lot of times, like we see people, for example, Brittany Leggett, she, signed up as a coach and she was just blowing it out of the water. And then I was listening to a call of hers and she said she was working 80 to 100 hours a week. So it's like you don't see those things that those coaches are putting into it. So whenever we were at the retreat, they were all talking about how much they work and things like that. So I get really uncomfortable talking about money because I feel like people are going to think that that's like the big, the big thing. But after I actually talked about this on my team call last night, and everybody's mind was blown and they were so excited. So I really wanted to share this with you guys. One of my friends who she's been working for 2 years, she's a nurse. She was working 12-hour shifts, like 3 days a week. And she cut back to 2, and she's like, I'm making $7,000 a month now. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I asked her how many coaches she's been recruiting, because she's been like crushing it. She's like, about 15 to 20 a month. So that kind of puts, those numbers into perspective. And then another one of my friends, she just recently, she's a really good friend of mine. She just recently hit 6 figures and she works 30 hours a week. And I think that really helps people, because they're like, I have so many coaches on my team who are like, I need to retire my husband, or I really want to quit my job and I need to make this much money, but I don't know how much work to put in. So I think those kind of numbers really put it into perspective. You can't expect to work 5 hours a week and then be making $10,000 a month. It's just not going to happen like that. So another tip was to make sure that you are in Success Club at least 5 by the 5th and 10 by the 10th. So that way the rest of the month, you're not focusing on yourself trying to get in Success Club. You're already done with that. You can focus on helping your team get there and focus all of your time getting them there, and everything else is bonus. But that way you have like a week or 2 to just really help your team. And it really shows how important it is because you already knocked it out, right? So you're like, guys, I'm in, where are you? So it's just being that leader, once again. Sorry, I'm using my husband's phone for my notes and it's super cracked. So I'm like looking around it. I just bought it for him in December and he dropped it like in February. Okay. So just when you think that you can't go on, just remember that you can do more, whether it's your business, your fitness. I mean, workouts are a perfect example on how we run our business. It's like, do I want to do it today, or how much am I going to do? Should I do a short one? Should I do a long one? Nobody chooses to do insanity, you know, at like 5 a.m, the hour-long workouts. You know, they want to knock it out quick. So that's why so many people choose 30-minute workouts. And it's the same with our business. Do you want to take the short end and get benefit, but, you know, or do you want to go the long way and get way more out? I'm reading a book right now called The 10 Times Rule or the 10X Rule. I don't know. They say it different in the book. But if you guys haven't read that, it's seriously amazing. And one thing he talks about in that book is, you know, we put in a little bit of work, but we expect so much. But whenever you put in 10 times more effort, you're going to get 10 times more, but you can expect less. So you guys really have to read that book. It's so good. Does anyone go to Seattle Super Saturday? Marianne did. Did you hear that marathon analogy? You did it? Okay, so I'm going to tell you guys. I want to make sure she didn't already talk about it. Okay, this is one of the best, actually I'm going to share too, the best analogies ever, and it really helped my mindset. So there's this, who was it that said this? Jess Dukes. Her name is Jess Dukes. So she was a 5-star elite coach last year, and she talked about running a marathon and how it relates to the business. So a marathon is like 26 miles. I don't know for sure because I've never ran one, so 26 point something. And she talks about how some people will start the marathon and then they get a side cramp and they quit. It's like the same thing with the business. You know, like people will sign up as a coach and then one person quits and they're like, I'm done. I can't do this. My coach quit, blah, blah, blah. So they just quit. Then you have people who start off sprinting. You know, people who sign up and they're just like making Success Club points like crazy, and they hurry up and they're building to Emerald and probably building to Diamond, and then they get burnt out because they put so much time in right away and then they just don't want to do it anymore. I've seen that so many times. And then you have people who are like, 26 miles? No, I'm not doing it. They don't even think about the reward at the end and being able to say, yes, I did it. That was successful. Instead, they're like, they don't want to do it because it's too long. So it's just like with the business, you know, it's like, would you spend 5 years working if you could make 6 figures or be a millionaire? Like, would you do that? And it's like, people don't want to put in 5 years for that, which is crazy. They're like, oh, that's too long. And that's just insane to me. But it's the same thing like with the marathon. And then the last thing was you have people who are going to start the marathon and then they get bored and they quit. So inviting is not always fun. Driving hours to events is not always fun. Or when you're at Summit and you're so tired and you're just like, oh, I just want to go to bed. But you do it anyway because it's required. So it's just like, you know, running that marathon. You may get bored, but if you have a why that's big enough in this business and you have something that is just driving you, once you get to mile 12, that is going to be your push till the end. Your why is what is going to drive you when you feel like you can't go on anymore, or you're bored, or you're tired, or you have a side cramp. Anything like that is going to get pushed past whenever you think about your why and you dig deep into that. So if you don't have a big why, work on that, because that is going to be the one thing that is going to keep you going no matter what. And my other favorite analogy was the train. I don't know why this is so good, but it's just amazing. So this is Ryan Chapman who talked about the train analogy. And he says, so you're on a train and there are empty spots and you're heading to Result City. You already know you're going to Result City because that's the destination. You already know that. So you're riding the train and there are some stops, and at each stop there are some people. You can offer them a ride. Hey, do you want to go to Result City with me? Some of them might say no, some of them might get on, but you're not going to like print out a flyer and beg them to come with you to Result City because they don't want to go, right? So it's like with inviting, if they say no, okay, they don't want to go with you. So whenever you are headed to Result City, all those people that don't want to go, it doesn't matter because you're not going to get off the train, right? You're not going to be like, oh, you're not going? I should probably just get off. I'm not going to go either. Whatever, forget it. I'm not going to Result City. You're not going to do that. So whenever you think about inviting and you think about all that stress, just let it go, because it doesn't matter. You already know, if you know where you're headed and you know where your end point is going to be, then it doesn't matter who doesn't want to come with you, right? You already know that you're going to reach all of your goals, whether someone says no or not. So don't let one person or 5 people or even 100 people that tell you no, don't let them determine whether or not you hit your success, because we all have different versions of that. For me, I want to retire my husband, and he gets out of the Army in 2 years. So I have 2 years to just bust my butt and grind so I can get him out of the Army, and that is my ultimate dream. I want to move to a tropical location, and if someone else tells me no, I'm not going to be like, you just stay in the Army there. You just work all the time and I'll just stay home. I'm not going to do that. So I don't want you guys to do that either. Make sure that you stay on that train and you go to Result City no matter who tells you no. Okay, so I just want to touch, yes, drop the mic. I just want to touch again on being a leader. I am someone who doesn't like to be like known. I've always wanted to hide, and like if I'm in the middle, I'm okay. Like even if I was in class, I know the answer. I know the answer perfectly. I probably had a paragraph memorized, but if the professor or the teacher, whoever asked, I'd be like, nope, not me. Do not pick me. Because I've always wanted to just stay hidden and in the middle. And becoming an owner of my own business, that was really hard for me, because I'm like, I have to talk to people, I have to get on calls, and that was really scary for me. But I did it anyway, and it made me grow. So those scary things, I mean, I'm sure you guys have done some scary things in your life. You know that whenever you're finished and you could actually say you did it and you were terrified, then that is an amazing feeling. And it's the same thing. Every time I host a team call, especially if it's a topic that I'm not super good at or I don't know very well because I don't have like policies and procedures memorized or something, I'm just like, I need to do it. I need to do it because I'm scared. And because as soon as I'm done, I'm going to feel like, whew, I'm so glad I did that. One thing I've been terrified of is becoming an instructor, but I love classes. I love live classes. And I've decided this year at Summit, I'm going to get certified for something. I don't know what, but I'm going to be scared like crazy. But I have to do it because I have to keep making myself uncomfortable. And I'm going to close with a couple things. So for one, if you guys haven't heard the quote, I don't know it exactly, but it's like, if you are the smartest, most determined, most fit, everything person in your group, then your group is too small. And when I was at this leadership retreat, I realized my group is too small, because at home with my friends, not dissing my friends because some of them are pretty awesome, but I just feel comfortable and they don't push me. So most of my really, really good friends, the ones who would challenge me, are on my team and don't live close to me. So that really sucks. But whenever I went to that retreat, I was uncomfortable. And then I realized that I need to step up my game because I belong there. I felt like I belonged there, which was really crazy because that was the one time in my life that I felt like I would be an outcast. That was the one time that I was just terrified of being around a group of people, because I usually love people. And then that was the one time I felt like I grew. And the last thing is surround yourself with people who will make you uncomfortable, but it's like the 80-20 rule. Have you guys heard of that? So it's like 20% of your time, spend it with people who are more successful than you. And I was talking to Jessica's husband, who ended up being amazing too. And I didn't know him before. I'd never met him in person. And he said, you're spending your time with the 20% right now. Just imagine Jessica, who she has to spend her time with now. And I was just like, whoa, that is crazy, because at any point, no matter where you go or whatever point you reach in your business, you still have to keep raising that bar and stepping it up and getting around people that make you uncomfortable at every single level. If you want to grow, you have to be around people that make you uncomfortable, and you always have to be willing to learn and grow. If anybody has any questions or anything, I'm very happy to answer them. Hopefully that stuff helps you guys.
Candace, can you repeat that last one? If you want to grow what?
sorry, I don't know the exact quote, I'm sorry, but it's like, spend your time with the top 20%. So
this was all awesome. Thanks so much for all of this. I am so like you. I relate a lot to the business with fitness, fitness with business.
yeah.
My mind works just like that. So this is all really, really great. It's good to meet you.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Candace, this was amazing. I loved your metaphors with the marathon and with the train, especially that one that seems so exactly where my thoughts are. And I love that it's put into a metaphor.
It sounds like it's really silly, doesn't it? It makes it sound like being scared is really silly.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's such a great way to explain it because that's how I felt for a long time. I was going to ask you, and I know you kind of had mentioned it a little bit, was what kind of recognition that Jess does weekly. You said that she recognizes for personal volume, and I'm sure she does Success Club too every week. Is that what she does?
She does Success Club at the end of the month, and then she does volume every week. So every Thursday morning, she like changes the cover photo in our group. So that's what I'm actually starting to do this week. So this Thursday will be my first time doing that. So
cool. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Candace, thank you again so much just for leading this call and bringing so much value. I took so many notes, and I was like thinking when you were like Result City, I was thinking like, gosh, we need to have like a song or something like, like, come on, ride the train, Result City, ride it in, or something like. I don't know, that's just what it made me think. And you said buy that book, The 10X Rule. If you guys don't have that book, I mean, Sam and Ashley actually told me to get it. I've already listened to it twice on Audible, and I got the actual book too. You guys, that book is so good. Like, I want to memorize that book. When you listen to it or read it, it just like, it fires you up. I don't care what mood you're in, you're going to listen to that and you're just going to be like, and you're going to invite all the people in the land because you're just going to feel like doing it. So yeah, so it's awesome. And we'll post a link in the group too, so you guys could see what the book looks like, and Amazon, and get it on Audible too. So does anyone else have any other questions or comments or anything that they want to say?
I'm an open book, so.
Hi, Candace. I'm Jill. It's nice to meet you.
Hi, you too.
I don't have a question, but my son has been sitting here listening with us, and he's like, "Mommy, say something, say something." So, but I just wanted to say thank you. It was a really great call. I have a ton of notes too. It was a lot of what I really needed to hear. I haven't really been working my business at all. I try to every now and then, well, I stay okay with posting on my social media, but I literally haven't been working my business at all. And I really thought about it a lot today, and ready to get back into it and start really trying again. And this call was definitely what I needed to hear. So thank you.
You're not going to try, you're going to do it, right? You're not going to try.
That's right. I'm going to do it. I've got this. Thank you.
You're welcome. Marianne, if you don't mind, I'll say one more thing.
Say whatever you want.
So you guys already know I'm a stay-at-home mom to 3, and I'm an Army wife. But a little bit more background. I grew up like very, very, very insecure for reasons I don't really know. Like, I wasn't really overweight. I had a lot of friends. Like, I don't know. I was just always very insecure. And I grew up in an abusive home. And then I was in the Army Reserve. She was right. So I met my husband and we had kids at 19, at 20, and I just had my third baby. I just turned 24 last month. So I've never had an actual real job, like, because I joined the Army right out of high school and then I had a baby. So like right after training. So there were so many things that I felt like were against me in the business. I had no experience. I have lived in 12 houses in 3 states in the past 5 years. I didn't know anyone. I didn't know how to post on social media. I wasn't in shape. I gained 70 pounds during my first pregnancy. And I just had all these things that I felt like were against me. And use your story, guys, to build other people up and to realize that, you know, what happened in your life is what is going to make you successful. All those struggles, that's what's going to make you successful. When you share that, it's so powerful, and your pain, your past pains are going to bring people up. So don't be afraid to share those things, and don't be afraid to put yourself out there, and just know that you can do anything that you set your mind to. You really can.
That was a beautiful ending. That made me want to cry. Thank you, Candace, for sharing that, because you're absolutely right, and that's why we go through things, is to help other people. So it does make me teary-eyed, and I just love your honesty in sharing that. So I think this week too, you know, tomorrow's Thursday, and what a great day for anyone on this call to be vulnerable and make your Throwback Thursday something that's vulnerable, and make that your first sentence. I'm going to be vulnerable here for a minute. And when you say that, people are going to be like, oh, well, what are they going to say? And it's just really important to share where you've come from. Absolutely. Well, thank you again. I appreciate you, and thank you all for being on this call.
Good night, guys.
Thank you, guys. Bye.